Here's an iNewZ viewer photo taken by Bemidji, Minnesota on this Friday evening, and we're already getting social media comments that it was seen by Crookston and then farther west. What is it? I don't know. But again, photo supposedly taken over by Bemidji on this Friday evening. We'll keep zooming in here. It's not a high definition of enough photo to give you any real sense of what it is, but we'll just keep zooming in and we'll end up here. We have the case of a couple wrongly alleged Canadian drug smugglers who ended up telling agents they were paid to drive cocaine from Winnipeg to Nestor Falls, Ontario. However, there was no reason for them to try and cross the U.S. border at War Road, but they did. According to court records, U.S. Customs agents reported they instantly got a hit on the driver, Crystal De Leon of Winnipeg, for possible drug smuggling. Her passenger was Sarah Sophia Rose, also of Winnipeg. It led to a search of their car and seizure of a brick of cocaine, 287 grams worth nearly $30,000, along with $960 in Canadian cash. De Leon told an agent they were paid $2,000 to drive the cocaine from Winnipeg to Nestor Falls. De Leon now charged with 2 counts of first-degree sale and possession of cocaine. Each of those charges carries a maximum 40-year sentence. Her passenger also faces similar charges. A sexual assault charge against Oscar Luna of Bemidji in a case involving an 11-year-old girl. That charge of sexual assault rape has been dismissed. This from County Prosecutor David Hansen, quote, "In September of last year, our community experienced an unimaginable tragedy. An 11-year-old girl was located at a Sanford emergency room due to a report of a sexual assault. After an investigation by the Bemidji Police Department and Minnesota BCA, several salacious details emerged from the investigation. Law enforcement learned the girl had been in a residence in Bemidji, and she reported being forced into a car and had a bag over her head. She further reported being taken to a yellow house in Bemidji where she was tied up. She reported that she was naked while she was tied up, and there were 2 other girls tied up next to her. She reported there were 4 Mexican men in the house and that she was sexually assaulted by two of them, one named Panda and the other named Noah. The young girl was examined by a sexual assault nurse who informed law enforcement that she had abrasions consistent with a sexual assault. Based on this information, Bemidji Police Department began an intensive investigation into the matter. During the course of their investigation, law enforcement located a house in Bemidji that matched the description provided to them by the girl. When they performed a search of the house, they located 12 men. One of the men was later identified as Oscar Luna, a United States citizen from Texas, and 11 other men were foreign nationals. The U.S. Border Patrol eventually involved, and all of the foreign nationals were handed over to federal authorities. Prior to that, Bemidji police made sure to secure DNA samples from all 12 of the men found in the house. Oscar Luna was determined to fit the physical description of Panda given by the young girl and taken into custody by the Bemidji Police Department. Beltrami County Attorney's Office charged Luna with 1 count of criminal sexual conduct in the first degree based on the information at that time. None of the other men found at the scene were ever charged with the crime. Both Bemidji Police and BCA continued their investigation after the charges were filed against Luna. Based on DNA collected from Luna and 11 other men found at the scene, none of their DNA was found on the young girl. The BCA did examine clothing of the young girl and determined there were 4 separate DNA profiles on the waistband of her underwear, one of which matched her own DNA. The rest were unidentified individuals, which included unknown male DNA. The BCA ran the DNA profiles of all the men against the DNA found under underwear and excluded all of them as a match. Law enforcement also processed the scene and the car the girl had allegedly been forced into for DNA. The BCA was unable to locate the girl's DNA at the scene or in the car. Besides the continued forensic analysis, investigators from Bemidji Police continue to analyze physical evidence and take statements from individuals familiar with the case. Unfortunately, the physical evidence and follow-up statements from witnesses tended to not corroborate the young girl's statement. To be clear, there is little doubt the young girl was sexually assaulted. The medical evidence from her SANE exam supports she was sexually assaulted. Luna's DNA was not found on the girl. Luna was first identified as a suspect by law enforcement because he matched the description given by the girl. However, he was never specifically identified, any witness, as the assailant. In the American justice system, prosecutors have a special duty to refrain from prosecuting a charge that prosecutors know is not supported by probable cause. Initially, there was sufficient probable cause to proceed with charges against Luna, but as the investigation unfolded, much of that evidence became either uncorroborated or exculpatory. At this point, there is no evidence admissible in a court of law to implicate Luna for sexual assault of the young girl. Therefore, based upon the lack of evidence necessary to prove this case, the Beltrami County's Attorney's Office will be dismissing the charges against Luna. Furthermore, because DNA evidence excluding the other men found at the scene, there are currently no suspects to file charges against at this time. The case will remain under investigation. If any new evidence is discovered, the Beltrami County Attorney's Office will examine it and proceed accordingly. When processing the scene, law enforcement did encounter drugs. Luna has admitted the drugs found at the scene were his. He also acknowledged that the house he was staying at was within a school zone, and therefore he possessed the drugs inside a school zone. Because of this, Luna will be prosecuted for one count of third-degree possession of a controlled substance, a felony, which he intends to plead guilty to immediately. Luna also has 2 outstanding warrants in Hennepin County. Upon resolution of his drug charge here in Beltrami County, he will be released to his warrants. On a personal note, I want to thank all the hardworking men and women who have participated in this investigation, from the nurses, law enforcement officers who investigated the case, as well as all members of my staff who have put in countless hours on this case. This case involves a little girl who experienced an unthinkable trauma, and for the prosecution to conclude with an outcome of no charges in itself is another trauma, both for the victim and for all the individuals who have put their heart and souls into this case. I ask that members of the press respect the privacy of the young girl and her family at this difficult time." Unquote. Again, that was from Beltrami County Attorney David Hansen. Charges of sexual assault against Oscar Luna in the alleged rape of a 11-year-old girl are dismissed. Warroad police say they have a nail-spreading vandal who's wrecked a lot of tires in custody. This from Warroad police, taken into custody regarding a 1 year and 3 month investigation into nails being scattered here along Hallberg Street. Police say they know of at least 7 separate incidents where nails have been scattered on Hallberg Street between 6th Avenue and Dale Avenue. If you've had to repair or replace tires due to nail damage from January 1st of 2023 through April 4th of now, 2024, you're asked to email Officer Travis Olofson at t.olofson@warroadmn.org. Please include a receipt for repairs, an approximate date of travel on Hallberg Street, and primary phone number for follow-up questions. So, an irritable vandal taken into custody. More details when charges are filed. We'll have that on iNewZ. We have an update now regarding an early Friday evening pursuit. Just talk with Sergeant Starr, the Grand Forks Police Department. 20-year-old Lestat buyer of Grand Forks is in custody, facing pending charges of reckless endangerment and fleeing. Sergeant Starr says this started with a traffic stop for exhibition driving after he was smoking his tires. He took off, and then the Vehicle was found here in the 1100 block of 5th Avenue North. He had left on foot, and then later called into police and turned himself in. So, in custody after a pursuit on Friday evening. A lot easier to just stop, pull over, take the ticket, and not face additional, much tougher charges. I'm Neil Carlson reporting for iNewZ.TV.